So, Italy's offshore migration plan is recently running into some serious problems. Let's figure out what happened. So, in 2023, Italy has signed an agreement with Albania to build migration processing centers outside of the EU. All of the staff members were supposed to be Italian, while the security was supposed to be handled by Albanians. The centers were supposed to deter people trying to reach Italy by sea and send them to Albania instead to have their migration and asylum claims processed there. In return, Italy promised to support Albania's EU accession, and the President of the European Commission even praised these efforts as model for future European policy. All the facilities were supposed to handle up to 36,000 people and cost around 600 million euros. However, recently it ran into some serious legal problems. A few days ago, an Italian court ordered that a group of migrants had already been transferred to Albania from Egypt and Bangladesh to be returned back to Italy, as the court said the whole process violated the EU asylum law. The precedent that the ruling is referring to is from the European Court of Justice. Basically, if a part of a country is not considered safe for migrants, then the whole country cannot be considered safe. So, even if the part of Albania where the migrants are being sent to is safe, the court said it's not good enough. So now the whole operation is on hold, and the Italian government, along with its Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, are not happy. She even called the ruling ideologically motivated and is now pushing for a decree to reclassify the centers as repatriation hubs instead to avoid future legal challenges. I think this whole situation brings up a really interesting question. Are the EU asylum policies going to actually try to improve the asylum processes or just move people out of sight? The Italian government says it's about deterrence and reducing pressure on Italian systems and speeding things up, but it also opens door to some serious problems. There are human rights concerns and there are legal uncertainties, especially for people who are already in a very vulnerable position. Well, some critics even call these Albanian facilities prisons for people who haven't committed any crime. And if you look at the bigger picture, if the EU starts using this as a model where people can be sent to countries they've never set foot in with no meaningful connection, then what does this say about our idea of asylum rights? It also raises serious questions about responsibility, because if the EU outsources the process to a non-EU country, it shifts that responsibility away from the European Union. And this can create these dangerous precedents where wealthier European countries can start treating asylum as something that can be outsourced entirely. Even in Albania, these policies are facing significant backlash. Some see it as compromising their sovereignty, others feel like it goes against their own history of hospitality. So, while Italy's policy might feel like a practical fix, it's facing some real ethical and legal backlash. And how the EU responds now could shape the future of how asylum is treated and handled across the entire continent.